I hope you are maintaining the class notebook. I'm going to check your class notebook. Depending upon that, I will be giving you the term work. Remember, you do not have the practicals, but you have a term work. So your term work also depends upon what you have written in your class note. So maintain the class notebook also. Yes, whether I have done the ER design issues. What are the issues while designing the ER model? Somebody has to speak out. Is my screen visible to everyone? Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
मैंने ये ER मॉडल का डिजाइन का इशू लिया था क्या?
सर कंस्ट्रेंट तक बताया था.
अच्छा कंस्टेंट तक लिया था मैंने. ओके
हाँ.
ओके ओके ओके. ठीक है ठीक है. So I think I haven't taken the ER design issues. So I think today we can talk about the ER design issues. So my the screen is visible properly.
हाँ, yes, sir.
Okay. So I want everyone to write down the heading as ER design issues. So this is also important. The questions are asked. ER design issues. So as a engineer, as a designer, if you're designing a entity relationship model, then what are the issues which you can face? That is what we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Okay. So what are the different issues while designing the ER model? That thing we have to see, and how do you rectify that issues? Okay. So if I divide these issues, it can be divided into four. It can be divided into four types. Number one will be it will be use of entity set. Use of, please write down this, use of entity sets, use of entity set versus attributes, versus attributes. Use of entity set versus attributes. Second would be use of entity set, use of entity set versus relational or relationship sets, relationship sets. The third would be binary versus binary versus n array, n array relationship set. I hope not a single word is unfamiliar with you. You know each and every word, whatever I'm writing. You know what is entity set, you know what is attributes, you know what is relationship set, you know what is binary relationship, you know what is n array relationship. Okay. And the fourth one, and the fourth one will be placement of relationship attributes. Placement of relationship attributes. Placement of relationship attributes. So each and everything we are going to see in detail. Okay, I hope you have written this four different types of issues while a engineer or a designer is may face while designing the model. Okay, so we will go one by one. So let me show you in the PPT first. Are you able to see the slide? Are you able to see the
Yes,
slide?
sir.
Okay. So this is the first one. Okay, use of entity set versus attribute. Now, if suppose I am an engineer, I am a designer, I should be able to know that particular thing or name or place, whether I should take that as an entity or I should take as an attribute. That is the first, the first hurdle. So I should be able to identify. Yes, अगर ये मैं ले रहा हूँ तो this should be taken as an entity. That should not be taken as an attribute. Okay, I should be able to know, yes, no, this should not be taken as an entity, but this should be taken as an attribute. So always there is a conflict between entity versus attribute. Okay, so this is the first the issue which we faced. Okay, now here they have given an example, use of entity set versus an attribute. Now if you see the first figure, if you see carefully the first figure, in this figure I'm talking about this figure. Now here they have given an entity with the name of instructor. The entity is an instructor, and the attributes are id, then name, then salary, and the phone number. Okay, and this entity consists of your four attributes: id, the name, the salary, and the phone number. Okay, now if you want to see here carefully, now sometimes it might happen that your choice mainly depends upon the structure of the enterprise being modeled. Now here in this figure, if you see carefully, s- they have mentioned the phone number, but you know that phone number can be a multi-valued. You have a personal phone number, you have a professional phone number. Okay, some might be using the mobile number, some of you might be using the landline number. So here the confusion may arise that in the instructor entity, whether the phone number should be taken as an attribute, or whether the phone number should be taken as a separate entity. Okay, whether it should be taken as a separate entity. If a particular organizer is interested to know the detailed understanding of the phone number, the detailed understanding could be mobile number. If it has a mobile, whether it is using two numbers, then the personal as well as professional number. Then whether it is using a landline or the mobile smartphone. So the different attributes can be attached to the phone number. So if an organization is interested to know the details of the phone number, then instead of taking the phone number as one of the attribute in the instructor entity, this phone number should be taken as a different entity. They should be taken as a different entity. Okay, so here if you see, there are now here you have a two entities which is taken part in the relationship, so it is called as a binary relationship. Now it is attached with the relationship of your institute or the instructor phone number. So the relationship is given as an instructor phone number. Now in the entity of a phone number, as an entity of a phone, you have a phone number. You may also give the location, you may also mention the landline number, you may also mention the personal number. Okay, and the professional number if there are two numbers. So in the phone entity you can have different details of the phone. If an organization is interested to know the details of the phone number, then instead of taking that phone number as a separate attribute for the instructor, then that will be taken as a different entity, and this entity will be attached with this instructor with the relationship of an instructor phone number or instructor phone. So this, here we have the entity versus attribute. Now here we need to identify whether we are interested more to know the detail about the phone number, then instead of taking this as a attribute, we will take as an entity. So here you have understood that phone is taken as a different entity, and this entity has a different attributes. So it also depends upon in what attribute you are more interested in to know in much more in detail, or you can say the extra information. So here extra information we have to underline. Use of phone as an entity allows extra information about phone numbers, that is a plus multiple phone numbers. The extra information could be different phone numbers, your landline number, your personal number, your professional number. Okay, so etc. So more information can be, if you want to have an access, then that should be taken as an entity, should not be taken as an attribute. I hope you have understood the first model, the first issue. Any question in this? Any question in this? Okay, I want you to. I want everyone to write down one sentence about this entity versus attribute. Please write down. Please write down. Choice mainly depends upon. Choice mainly depends upon structure of the enterprise being modeled. Structure of the enterprise being modeled. Structure of the enterprise being modeled. and on the semantics associated with the attribute in question, and on the semantics associated with the attribute in question, and on the semantics associated with the attribute in question. Okay, so this is about the first issue. We will go to the next one. Yes, now the second one is entity versus relationship set. Entity versus relationship set. Okay, now here, let me give a different example that would be more helpful for you. uh, if you take an example of, let me give a different example. Now here we need to identify the entity set versus relationship set. Entity set versus relationship set. Okay, later take an example. I will be drawing two figures. Here you have an entity of a customer with customer id as an attribute, the name as an attribute, okay, and ct as an attribute. You have a second entity. These now this is a customer associated with the bank. Okay, so the branch. So I'm taking the second entity as a branch. Now this branch entity will have an attribute of branch name, then the address. Okay, so the customer is related with the branch through the relationship that is loan. That is loan. This I have taken purposely because I have given you some example related with the loan. Okay, now see here carefully what I have to mention here. Now this is actually the entity versus the relationship set. Okay, entity versus the relationship set. Now here, uh, now you know that the customer is associated with the branch with the loan. Now this loan has also an attribute. This loan relationship is also having a descriptive attribute. The distributive attribute would be the loan number the loan number, as well as the other attribute would be the amount, how much amount the loan has taken, how much loan has been taken. Now this is one figure. Now you know that every the person who is taking who has taken the loan will be associated with this figure. Every person or every customer who has taken the loan will be designed in this particular figure. So customer entity will have id, name and cd. Branch entity will have the branch name and address, and they both are connected with the loan, or the relationship is shown with the loan set, and the loan is having the two attributes, the loan number and the amount. Now, sometimes it may happen that customer may have the joint account. The husband and wife may have a joint account. Two brothers may have a joint account. Okay, two sisters may have a joint account. So, in that case, this figure is not going to help us. Why so? Because if you remember, I have talked about the uh, consistency, the duplication of the data. Now, if you see here, there are two customers who are having the joint account. Then that two customers, if that customer is suppose customer number one and customer number two, and these two customers are having joint account, then don't you think that the same figure would be repeated for customer two also? Then there is a duplication of the data, there is a inconsistency of the data. The data storage required will be more, the data storage required will be more. Okay, so to handle such problem where the customer would be having a joint account, and to avoid the inconsistency, we can have the second figure in which you will be having a relationship with the borrower. You will be showing the relationship as a borrower. How? You will be writing down the name as a customer, that is as an entity, the same as the id and the name and the city suppose, and the second entity you have taken as a loan. See here what I'm writing down: the loan as an entity, and this loan entity will have the attribute as loan number and the amount, and the amount, and the amount, and the amount. Okay, and the relationship is shown by the borrower. The relationship is shown as a borrower. The relationship is shown as a borrower. Now see here the previous figure. Now here loan the loan relationship set is shown with the two attributes of a loan number and the amount. Instead of that, we can have this particular figure in which the two entities, the customer and the loan, that means the customers, the individual customer, or you can say this particular customer will have its own joint account holder also. Okay, we'll have the joint account holder. So this entity will have the information of the customer and its joint account holder, and this this particular figure will be only associated with the customers those who are only taken the loan. This figure will be only applicable for the customers those who are taken the loan, because you are taking the other entity as a loan with the loan number as a key, primary key. Remember the primary key here, loan number is a primary key, and the amount, and the amount. Okay, so we can have such type of figures associated with the only with the customers those who are taken the loan, those who are taken the loan, those who are taken the loan. Okay, so this figure is valid and this will be applicable. So here we can show the entity set versus the relationship set. Okay, so how we can differentiate? Here you have taken the loan as a relation, but here you have taken loan as an entity. That is why it is called as a entity sets versus relationship set. I hope you have understood this. Any question, please ask. If you have any question, please ask. Any question, any doubt? You have to speak out fast, yes or no, so that I can proceed or I can explain you once again. Okay, shall I continue? Okay, so the same thing, now this thing, I think I have already shared with you this particular PPT in your classroom. Okay, whatever I have explained you, that thing you can correlate here in this particular figure. Okay, entity versus relationship set. So we have done with the second. I will not waste my time in explaining you this. You have to do the analysis of this figure and how, and you have to show how these entities and relationships are different, and which one we should go with. Okay, which one you should go with. Okay, then we can proceed further. The third one, that is a binary versus n array relationship. So binary versus n array relationship. Binary versus non-binary, you can say, or binary versus n array. Binary versus n array. Now here we will be going with the relationship. I want you everyone to pay attention now. We have already talked about. We have already talked about the relationship can be unary relationship, it can be binary, it can be tertiary. Okay, so whenever you, most of the cases, the relationship are binary in which two entities are taking part. If three entities are taking part, it becomes tertiary. If no entity is taking part, it becomes unary. Okay, so we need to think as a designer or as an engineer that which will be more informative, whether I should go with the binary relationship or whether I should go with non-binary. So I'm talking about binary versus non-binary, or in simple word, you can say binary versus an array. So in tertiary, it will be three array. In tertiary, it will be three array. If there are four entities taking part in the relationship, it will be four array, and so forth. So I am talking about binary versus an array. So as a designer, I should select which particular relationship, whether I should go with binary or whether I should go with n array relationship set. So that thing I am going to explain here. Please pay attention. Although it is possible to replace any non-binary means n array where n is greater than 2. Remember, when n is greater than 2, it becomes non-binary or it becomes n array. Relationship set by a number of distinct binary relationship sets. A n array relationship set shows more clearly that several entities participate in a single relationship. Some relationships that appear to be non-binary may be better represented using binary relationship. For example, a ternary relationship, parents relating a child to his or her father and mother, is best replaced by two binary relationships, father and mother. Using two binary relationships allows partial information. Example, only mother being known. Yes, this is important. So whatever I have read out, okay, that thing I will explain you with a diagram so that it will be more clear. The diagram is here. See here, first I'm drawing the ternary. यहाँ पे जो लिखा था ना, ternary means three array, it means three array. So we are going to see what is this ternary. If a relationship is shown by the ternary, see the relationship, there are three entities: father, mother, and the child. And the child, father, mother, child, ternary relationship set, they are associated with. What do you think, what should be written in the diamond? What do you think, what should be written in the diamond? What do you think that should be written in the diamond? Family. See, this is a relationship the relationship has to be shown by the diamond. So do we have to write down family or something else? Mother, father, and child, it will be shown as a parent. It will be shown as a parent. Okay, so child, father, mother. So here main focus is on child, where you can see father and mother are the parents of this particular child. So this is a ternary relationship set. This is a ternary relationship set. Now sometimes it may happen, please remember we are talking about binary versus non-binary. Okay, don't forget we are talking about binary versus non-binary. Now in this ternary relationship, you have three entities: child, father, and mother. Sometimes it may happen that you do not have you do not have the details of the father. The attributes are none. The attributes are null. There are no details, there are no attributes available for the father. In that case, this ternary relationship set won't be helpful for us to understand the details of the father. If details of the father are not available, if the details of the father are not available, the details of mother are available, then instead of showing with the ternary relationship set, it's better to show by the binary. So this ternary relationship will be converted into binary. How it will be converted, please say here. How it will be converted? I can have an entity of a child, and the other entity will be parent, and the relationship is of the father, and the relationship is of the father. So binary relationship set between child and parent, between child and parent, between child and parent. Okay, so the relationship set is shown by the father. The relationship set is shown by the father. I can have the other binary relationship set. How? I will be having the child as an one entity. I will have the parent as the other entity, and the relationship set will be of a mother. Of will be of a mother. So these two figures are different. Sorry, these two figures are separate. These two figures are separate. So can I comment? Can I comment? This ternary relationship has been converted into binary relationship. Okay, how the relationship between the child and the father, and the second figure, the relationship between the child and the mother, the child and the mother. Okay, instead of saying that, you should also say that in the first figure, in the first figure the binary relationship set is shown between child and parent with the relationship of father. In the second figure, you should say that the binary relationship of mother, the binary relationship of mother is shown between child and parent, between child and parent. Okay, so here, if I do not have the details of the father, then I can use this as a relationship of being a mother between the child as a child and a parent. Okay, so here it's important that how this ternary relationship can be converted into binary if it is required. Okay, depending upon whether the details are of father are available or not. If they are not available, we will go with binary. Why to go with tertiary? Okay, so this relationship can be shown, this relationship can be shown. Okay, this relationship can be shown. And if you have to some if you want to have some attributes of the mother, that thing also can be added, that is a descriptive attribute can be shown for the mother. Okay, so this is the binary versus n array relationship set. Now sometimes it may also happen that some relationships are natural and non-binary. So how to show that? Let me give another example. If I'm having a project guide as a relationship set between between instructor between instructor and the student, between the instructor and the student between the instructor and the student. So instructor entity will have the id of the instructor, name of the instructor. Okay, student entity will have the id of the instructor, id of a student, and the name of the student, okay. This project guide is a relationship between the instructor and the student with one attribute attached to the relationship, that is project id, project id comma title, project id comma title. Now this is a ternary relationship which cannot be broken into binary relationship. How come? Please see here now. Take your example. Now every student is having some instructor you can say, or a your mini project guide. Every student has a instructor or the mentor. Okay, now they are called these instructors are called as a mentor or project guide. So every student is associated with the instructor with a project guide as a relationship. Now this project guide as a relationship will have an attribute of the project id and the title. So every project title will have an id and the title. So here, if I want to if I want to convert this into binary, if I have to convert this into binary, I cannot have a relationship between instructor and the project id. I'm talking about the binary relationship. Even I could not have a relationship between the instructor and the student. I cannot have this relationship. Okay, because if you see this figure, it gives a holistic idea that the student with with this particular ID and the particular name is associated with the instructor of the instructor ID and the instructor name with with the relationship of a project guide with the project id and the title, with the project id and the title. Okay, so I cannot have instructor with the binary, I cannot have this relationship. अगर मैं ये relationship रखता हूँ, then I do not have the information about which student is associated with this project id and title. if I make a relationship, binary relationship between the instructor and the student, in that case I do not have the information that this student is associated with this instructor with what project id and with what title. So this is a naturally non-binary. This is a naturally non-binary. I cannot convert into binary relationship. If I do, one of the information will be lost. One of the information will be lost. As I have told you, if I make a relationship between instructor and the project id and title, then which student is attached with this project id and title will be lost. If I do the relationship, binary relationship between the instructor and the student, then with that particular student is associated with with that instructor with which particular project id and title will be lost. I hope you understood this. If you have question, please ask. Otherwise, we will continue. Please tell me.
Continue, sir.
Okay. So this particular was associated with the third issue, that is binary versus NRA relationship or binary versus non-binary. Then comes. So I have explained you this. I have explained you this. Yes. See, can you see here? There are some relationships that are naturally non-binary. Non-binary. Example is project guide. So project guide relationship will be always ternary. It will be always ternary. It will be always ternary. Okay. So this is very important. This thing I have explained you in detail. This thing I have explained in detail. Then yes, the last one is placement of relationship attribute. This is also important. Placement of relationship attribute. So we need to understand the placement of relationship attribute. For example, attribute date as attribute of advisor or as attribute of student. Okay. So ये example I will be showing you with a figure, then it will be more clear. See here, there is an entity of an instructor with ID and the name. There is an entity of a student with ID and name. They both are associated with each other as an advisor. I hope everyone has an advisor. I think currently you must have done with the meeting advisor, or that is a mentor mentee meeting, mentor mentee meeting. Okay, where each and every student is having one advisor. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this advisor is having a descriptive attribute of a date. What does it mean? It means that every student is assigned with an instructor on so and so date. On so and so date. Okay. So every student is associated or has been assigned with an instructor on so and so date. So this figure gives us that idea. Okay. So student ID name associated as an advisor with the instructor ID name, and on what date that particular instructor has been assigned to the particular student. Now here I can say that date can be repositioned to student entity. Now here, before I go to that, can I say this is nothing but one to many relationship? One to many relationship. One to many means 1 raised to m. 1 raised to m. What does it mean? It means you have one instructor, but that instructor is an advisor for many of the students. So can I say this is one to many relationship? Yes or no? Can I say this is one to many relationship?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. This is one to many relationship. So for example, there might be four students who has been assigned with this instructor as an advisor, with different dates, with different dates. Okay, so one to many relationship, this is a one to many relationship. We are talking about what issue? We are talking about the placement of relationship attribute. Placement of relationship attribute. If I ask you, identify the relationship attribute in this figure, what is your answer? If I'm asking you to identify the relationship attribute in this figure, what is your answer? Relationship attribute. I'm waiting for your answer. Again, I'm asking, again, I am putting the question. The question is, if I am asking you to identify the relationship attribute in this figure, what is that particular attribute? Or what is that particular relationship attribute? Is it so difficult? Is it so difficult? Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Are you all sleeping?
No, no, sir.
So why don't you answer? Why don't you respond? Karthik Awad. Karthik is there? Please unmute yourself, Karthik.
Yes, sir.
Karthik, tell me the answer. In the given figure, you have to identify the relationship attribute. What is that? Abhishek? Abhishek, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Tell me the attribute, relationship attribute in this figure. Those will not answer will be marked as an absent. Isha, you mark Karthik as absent, Abhishek as absent. I hope they are sleeping, they are not attentive in the class. Shravan,
Yes, sir.
those who will left the Neha ko mark karo absent. Those who will leave this meet will be marked as an absent. Neha ko mark karo. Isha, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You have to mark
One to
Karthik.
many.
You have to mark Karthik as an absent,
One to
Abhishek as
many.
an absent, Neha absent because she has left the meet. Shravan, you have to answer.
Sir, is it one to many?
I am asking you the relationship attribute. You have to identify the relationship attribute in this figure. ये फिगर में आपको आइडेंटिफाई करना है. ये मैंने आपको बताया कि वन टू मेनी का क्या मतलब है. एक एडवाइजर उसके साथ चार पांच स्टूडेंट, दैट इज वाई इट इज वन टू मेनी. सो यू हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई.
Sir, date.
मैकविन को ऑप्शन करो. ईशा, मैकविन सोएंस को ऑप्शन करो.
Sir.
ठीक है. यस प्रथमेश.
Hello, sir. Yeah.
प्रथमेश,
Yes, sir.
टेल मी द आंसर.
So one to many.
प्रथमेश को ऑप्शन कर दो. देवेश रमेश. देवेश रमेश, unmute yourself. राहुल कुलकर्णी को मार्क एज एन एब्सेंट. राहुल कुलकर्णी. Devesh Ramesh, are you there? Can you hear me, Ramesh? Okay, give me the answer. Devesh को mark as an absent. Gunjan. Gunjan, unmute yourself. Gunjan, unmute yourself. ईशा गुंजन को भी मार्क एज एन एब्सेंट. संकेत देशमुख को एब्सेंट कर दो. संकेत देशमुख को मार्क एज एन एब्सेंट. प्रियंका, unmute yourself, Priyanka.
Yes, sir.
Give me the answer.
Sir, is it date?
Yes, it is date. It is date. मेरा क्वेश्चन सिंपल था. I was asking you all, in the given figure, identify the relationship attribute. In this figure, relationship is shown by advisor. It is shown by advisor. And the attribute which shows about the relationship is the date. It is the date. So the relationship attribute is shown by the date. It is shown by the date. So I was expecting the answer date. अभी हमारा फोर्थ वाला क्या इश्यू है? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्लेसमेंट ऑफ, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्लेसमेंट ऑफ, yes, we are talking, we are talking about the, just a minute. Yes, we are talking about the placement of relationship attribute. So our focus is about the placement of relationship attribute. In our case, relationship attribute is date. Where we should place this date, that is more important, and that thing we are going to see in this figure. Now here, this is a case, this is a figure where you are talking about one instructor, many students. One instructor, many students. Okay, one instructor, many students. So in this case, if I have to place this date as a, if I have to place this attribute as a date, in the case of one to many, so it's better that the placement of this attribute of date should be on the student side, should be on the student side. When the case is of one to many relationship, when the case is of one to many relationship, again I am repeating, when the case is of one to many relationship, the date attribute should be on the student side. इसका मतलब ये डेट आपका जो है वो इधर आना चाहिए. इसका मतलब सपोज ये स्टूडेंट 1 है, दूसरा एक स्टूडेंट 2 रहेगा, तो ये डेट वाला जो एट्रीब्यूट, जिस डेट पे ये स्टूडेंट 1 को ये इंस्ट्रक्टर अलॉट हुआ, वो डेट ये स्टूडेंट 1 के एट्रीब्यूट में रहेगा, स्टूडेंट 1 एंटिटी के एट्रीब्यूट में रहेगा. वैसे ही स्टूडेंट 2 एंटिटी के एट्रीब्यूट में जो डेट है वहां पे वो डेट रहेगा जब ये इंस्ट्रक्टर उसको असाइन हुआ था. Similarly for student 3, student 4, suppose 4 students are there, every student will have that attribute as a date. So these date can be placed in the student, in the जो many के many side में है, one के side में instructor है, many के side में students है. So this date can be placed on the many side. I hope you have understood this. I hope you have understood this.
Yes, sir.
हाँ. Now if the relationship, if the relationship if the relationship is 1 to 1, if the relationship is 1 to 1, then the date can be placed. Can anyone comment on this? If the relationship is 1 to 1, that means only one student associated with only one instructor. In that case, what is your comment? The date should be placed where? Advisor. Other one? Anyone with different answer? Anyone with different answer? He has said the date should be placed, should be on the instructor side. Anyone with the different answer?
So, sir, advisor.
Advisor.
Yes, sir.
No. Initially, this date is associated with the advisor. बराबर है. I have to place this date. मैंने जैसे बोला था जब 1 to many था the date should be placed on the student side. स्टूडेंट 1 के डेट में, स्टूडेंट 2 के डेट में, स्टूडेंट 3 के डेट में. Okay. Now my question is, if the relationship is 1 to 1, if the relationship is 1 to 1, then in that case this date should be placed where? Should be placed on instructor side or should be placed on student side? 1 to 1 का क्या मतलब है? एक ही स्टूडेंट और एक ही इंस्ट्रक्टर. Now tell me the answer now. The date should be placed on which side? I am not asking you something rocket science. I am asking you simple question. First, I have explained you for 1 to many. Now I'm explaining you for the relationship of 1 to 1. In that case, you should be able to give me the answer. You should not. It is not so difficult. Yes. Shall I ask you individually? And those will not answer will be marked as an absent. No one? Fine. Yes, Prajakta Gurav. Prajakta Gurav. Niranjan. ईशा निरंजन को मार्क करो एज एन एब्सेंट. ईशा, आर यू देयर?
Yes, sir.
Niranjan will be marked as an absent. Yes, I have asked to. मैंने किसको पूछा था? Yes, Gunjan. Gunjan, unmute yourself. Gunjan, unmute yourself. Isha, mark her as an absent. Gunjan. Rohit. Rohit Dahad. Rohit Dahad. Unmute yourself. रोहित को भी मार्क एज एन एब्सेंट. साक्षी.
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is your answer? You want to see the figure?
Sir, is it instructor?
Your answer is instructor. Okay. Shreya Dhamne. Shreya Dhamne, unmute yourself. Shreya. Isha, mark her absent. Shreya. Trupti Sonavne. Trupti Sonavne, unmute yourself. Trupti को mark as an absent. Trisha Gaur. Trisha Gaur.
Sir, is it instructor?
Your answer is instructor. Sumit Jadhav. Sumit Jadhav, unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Your answer?
Sir, instructor.
Instructor. Okay. All of you pay attention now here. Now, if I am talking about the 1 to 1 relationship, that means एक ही instructor is an advisor for एक ही student, then this date can go either in student or that date can go either in the instructor. क्या फर्क होता है? अगर इंस्ट्रक्टर में डालता हूँ तो एक एट्रीब्यूट यहाँ पे ऐड हो जाता है कि इस दिन में ये इंस्ट्रक्टर एडवाइजर बना था ये स्टूडेंट का. अगर ये डेट मैं स्टूडेंट में डालता हूँ, देन यू विल हैव अ वन एट्रीब्यूट एज अ डेट which shows that this particular student has become a or has been assigned with the this instructor as an advisor on this date. So in one to one relationship, the date can go either on instructor or in student. अभी समझा?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. Now the last before I wind up, if it is many to many, if it is many to many, if it is many to many, now let me see who is smart enough to give me the answer. It is many to many. Acha,
Sir, both the side.
both the side, both the side.
Sir.
हाँ ठीक है. Let me elaborate on this. Many to many का मतलब, it means it may happen the student may have more than one instructor. It may happen the student may have more than one instructor. Okay, so that is why it is called as many to many. So under the many to many, yes, you have told me on both the side. Anyone with a different answer? Anyone on the anyone with a different answer? Okay, see here. If it is many to many, it is if it is many to many, then it's better that this date will be on relationship set only. तो आपको अभी जो क्लियर आपको अभी जो दिख रहा है फिगर में वो ऐसे ही रहने वाला है. ये ऐसे ही रहने वाला है. ओके, सो इफ इट इज मेनी टू मेनी, इसका मतलब सपोज दिस इज इंस्ट्रक्टर वन, दिस इज स्टूडेंट वन, दिस इज इंस्ट्रक्टर वन, दिस इज स्टूडेंट वन, और सपोज ये स्टूडेंट वन को दो इंस्ट्रक्टर दिए हैं एज एन एडवाइजर. ओके, ये स्टूडेंट वन को दो इंस्ट्रक्टर दिए हैं. ओके, तो इट विल दिस डेट विल बी ऑन द रिलेशनशिप सेट जो आपको अभी दिख रहा है. सो इसको मैं दूंगा नाम डेट वन. सपोज एक डेट को ये स्टूडेंट वन इज असाइंड टू दिस इंस्ट्रक्टर वन, and suppose this instructor suppose this student one is also having some instructor two, then you can have the other figure. This is instructor two, advisor, same student one, same student one, same student one, and here dot 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 will have some other date 2, date 2. Okay, so that means ये स्टूडेंट वन को है इज असाइंड टू इंस्ट्रक्टर, इंस्ट्रक्टर वन एंड इंस्ट्रक्टर टू. इंस्ट्रक्टर वन का सिनेरियो ये है और इंस्ट्रक्टर टू का सिनेरियो ये है. सो इट्स बेटर दैट डेट शुड बी ऑन द रिलेशनशिप सेट ओनली. It is better that it should be on the relationship set only. I hope you have understood this. Yes, any question? Any question so far? Any question so far? You have to just speak out yes or no. Any question?
No, sir.
No. Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. I think we can stop. I think we can stop for today. Priyanka ma'am ने attendance लिया? Priyanka is there? I think Priyanka was there, na? Priyanka ma'am was there, na? In the meet?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So she might have taken the attendance. Isha, the students for whom I have asked you to mark as an absent, okay, you just WhatsApp me the name. Don't WhatsApp me the name, their roll numbers. So they will be absent for today's lecture. Hereafter, I will be asking the questions. The questions are common for everyone. If no one is answering, I will ask individual one to give me the answer. Is it clear now? Isha, you will be say
Okay.
you will be you send me the roll numbers through WhatsApp. Those are upset for today. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Everyone can leave now. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can stay back. Others can leave.